Have you ever looked at your bank account and thought, where did the money go? And not because you bought one huge thing, or, not because you made some massive financial mistake, but because of a bunch of small charges that barely felt like spending at the time. Like a delivery fee here, or a subscription there, or, like a quick Amazon order, or a service charge, or an automatic renewal, something that you bought at 11 o'clock at night because you didn't feel like waiting. And then by the end of the month, you're looking at your account thinking, how did all of that add up? And that's what I want to talk about today, because for a lot of people, their money isn't disappearing. Convenience is quietly taking it. Hi, everybody. I'm Daniel, and this is American Affordability. And today I want to talk about the hidden cost of convenience. It's not because convenience is evil. And it's not because ordering food once makes you irresponsible. And, it's not because having subscriptions means you're bad with money. It's not the point here. The point is that some of us have less money than we could because of 100 tiny conveniences that we barely notice anymore. And honestly, in today's economy, that does matter because everything is already expensive. Groceries are expensive, insurance, cars, utilities, we talk about it all the time here, they're expensive. So when the big stuff's already eating up so much of the budget, the small leaks start to matter more. And convenience can be one of those leaks. Now, I want to be fair. Convenience can be useful, right? Sometimes it saves time, it lowers stress, sometimes it helps when life's just really busy. I mean, nobody wants every single part of life to be harder than it has to be. I mean, if you're working long hours, you're raising kids, you're dealing with health issues, taking care of family, or you're just trying to get through a tough week, convenience can definitely feel like a lifesaver. I totally get that. And this is not a video telling people to make life miserable just to save $5. It's not realistic. The real issue is not convenience itself. The issue is when convenience becomes your default. And that's where the problem starts. Because once convenience becomes the default, then your normal cost of living quietly goes up. And the frustrating part is that it usually doesn't happen with one big, obvious financial mistake. It happens with a bunch of little ones. A few delivery fees or service charges or forgotten subscriptions or a few online orders, a few impulse purchases, or a few, I'm tired, so I'll just pay extra moments. And suddenly, the money's gone. And it's not because you bought one outrageous thing, but because you made 100 tiny decisions that all had a price tag. And that's the hidden cost of convenience, I mean. It doesn't punch you in the face, it just quietly drains you. And you may not even notice until you look at your account and go, whoa, where did it go? I think food delivery is probably the easiest example. And I'm not saying this as someone who uses DoorDash all the time. I think I've used DoorDash once, maybe twice. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend this is my personal weekly habit, but I think everyone understands the math. You start with a meal that looks like it costs $15 or $18, and then there's the delivery fee, and then there's a service fee, and then taxes, and then the tip. And sometimes the menu price is higher than it would be if you ordered it directly from the restaurant. So by the time it's all done, a simple meal can turn into something way more expensive than you expected. And again, once in a while, totally fine, right? Life happens. Sometimes you're tired or you're busy or you don't feel like cooking. And honestly, I understand that. I do. The problem is when you let it become normal. Because if food delivery becomes the answer every time you're tired or bored or stressed or you don't feel like planning, that can become real money fast. And that's the key word there. Default. Is convenience something that you choose? Or is convenience just your automatic response to every small inconvenience? Because if the answer to every little inconvenience is to spend money, then your budget is going to feel it. You don't feel like cooking? Well, you know what? Spend money. You don't feel like driving? Okay, you know what? I'll just spend money. You don't feel like waiting? All right, you know what? I'll just spend money. You don't feel like planning? You don't feel like canceling? I'll just spend money. You see my point? And I'm not saying that to judge people at all. I'm saying it because it's easy to fall into. I've done it. We've all done it. Modern life is designed this way. Everything is built to make spending easier. Saved credit cards, one-click purchases, delivery apps, subscription trials, auto pay, buy now buttons. What else? Recommended products is another one. Personalized ads. Free shipping thresholds. You know what? You just buy a little more, we'll throw in free shipping. Free, right? I mean, it's all designed to remove friction. And from a business perspective, that makes sense, right? The easier it is to spend, the more people will spend. But from your perspective, that can be dangerous because sometimes friction protects your money. Having to drive to the store gives you time to think. Having to pull out your wallet gives you time to think. Having to compare prices or having to wait 24 hours gives you time to think. But when everything is one tap away, you don't always think, you react. And reactions can get really expensive. I see this everywhere. Take a look around. You probably see it too. I mean, living here in Tampa, you see convenience economy all around with food delivery and grocery delivery, coffee apps, retail apps, subscriptions. Everything is designed to make you think, why do this myself when I can pay a little extra and make it easier? And sometimes that little extra is absolutely worth it. But if you say yes to that little extra all the time, then it stops being little. Subscriptions are probably one of the sneakiest examples because subscriptions don't feel like spending after the first day. I mean, you sign up once, then the charge just keeps coming. A streaming service, you know, a lot of us have Netflix or Peacock or Paramount or Disney Plus or a music service. I mean, I use Spotify. A lot of people still use iTunes or other services. Cloud storage. I mean, who pays for cloud storage? I know I do for photos. A fitness app or a gym membership. I mean, a gym membership can be a good thing if you use it, right? A delivery membership, a shopping membership, subscription for a news service that you like to read or watch, an app that you downloaded for one specific thing, right? And then you forgot about it. One subscription might not matter, but 5 or 7 or 10 or more, that adds up real quick. And the worst part is that some subscriptions keep charging long after they stop adding value to your life. You signed up for one show, right? You watched it. And then 6 months later, you're still paying. You signed up for a free trial. You forgot to cancel it. You downloaded an app. You stopped using it. The charge kept coming. And that may not be a financial disaster by itself, but if you look at it like, use a plumbing analogy, it's a leak, right? It's a leak. And if you have enough leaks, it doesn't matter that each one is small, because the bucket still drains. And that's why I think a subscription audit is actually worth doing. And that's not because canceling a few subscriptions is going to solve the entire affordability crisis, because, I mean, we all know it's not. I hate when people act like the reason that housing is unaffordable is because someone has Netflix, or someone, goes to Starbucks here and there and gets a coffee. I mean, that's ridiculous. But at the same time, if you're paying every month for things you don't use or don't care about, that's still your money. And you should want that money back. That's the balance. We can admit that, the economy is expensive and still take responsibility for the things that we control. Both things can be true at the same time. We've talked about it. Housing prices are a real problem, as are insurance costs, right? As are groceries. But convenience spending is also something a lot of us actually look at, that we can actually look at and adjust. And that matters because some parts of affordability feel completely outside of our control, especially nowadays. You can't personally lower your interest rates. You can't personally fix the housing market, or, make your insurance premiums go lower. But you can look at your own habits. You can look at the small charges. You can look at the subscriptions. You can look at how often you pay extra just to avoid a little friction. And maybe that doesn't fix everything, but it can create breathing room. And, breathing room matters, because for a lot of people, the problem isn't always that they have no money coming in. The problem is that the money disappears. The paycheck comes in, the bills go out, a few convenience charges happen, a few subscriptions renew, a few quick purchases get made, and before long, there's nothing left, right? That's when people start feeling stuck. So the question I think people need to ask before spending money on convenience is simple. Is this convenience actually helping me? Or is it just making my life feel easier for 10 minutes? Because those are definitely not always the same thing. Sometimes convenience really does help. I mean, if grocery pickup keeps you from wandering around the store and buying a bunch of extra stuff, maybe that actually saves you money. Or if paying for delivery one night gets you through a brutal week, okay. Or if a subscription brings you real value every day, okay, yeah, keep it. I mean, this isn't about cutting everything just to suffer. The goal here is not to make your life miserable. The goal is to make your spending intentional. And there's a huge difference between saying, I chose to pay for this because it makes my life better, and I keep paying for this because I stopped paying attention. And that's the line. Intentional convenience is fine, but mindless convenience is the problem. And I think most people know where they are if they're honest with themselves. You probably know the app you use too much. You probably know the subscription that you don't really need. Or you probably know the Amazon orders that, they weren't necessary, but sounded good at the time. You probably know the convenience habit that's gotten a little out of control for your specific situation. The question is whether you're willing to look at it. And this is where personal accountability comes in. It's not shame, it's accountability. And there's a difference, because shame says, hey, you know what? You're bad with money. But accountability says, maybe this habit is costing me more than I want to admit. And that's a much more useful conversation. So let me know in the comments, what's one convenience charge that you looked at and you realized you were spending way more than you thought? Was it subscriptions or food delivery or Amazon, delivery fees, something else? Drop it below. I read every comment. Now, once you see the pattern, you don't have to make some dramatic change. You don't have to cook every meal from scratch. You don't have to stop buying things online. You don't have to make your life harder just to prove a point to others or yourself. But maybe you add a little friction back. Maybe you cancel 2 subscriptions that you forgot about, or maybe you switch from delivery to pickup, or maybe you wait 24 hours before buying something online. Or maybe you remove your saved card from apps that make impulse spending just a little bit too easy. I mean, you could ask yourself, would I still buy this if I had to drive there and pay cash? Because that question changes things. Because a lot of convenience spending depends on the fact that you don't feel the money leaving. And if you can make yourself feel it again, even just a little bit, you'll probably spend differently. And that's not old-fashioned, that's simply awareness. And awareness is important right now because the economy is already squeezing people. If your rent is higher, your groceries are higher, your insurance is higher, your car costs are higher, you can't afford to let money disappear unnoticed. You need to know where it's going. And if some of it is going toward convenience, you don't even value that much, that's a good place to start. And again, this is not going to solve every problem. I'm not going to stand here and pretend that canceling subscriptions will make housing affordable, because, I mean, it won't. But financial progress doesn't always come from one giant move. Sometimes it comes from plugging leaks. Sometimes it comes from getting back $50 per month, then maybe 100, then maybe 200. Sometimes it comes from realizing I'm not actually enjoying this enough to keep paying for it. And once you start thinking that way, then your relationship with money changes. You start asking better questions. Not just, can I afford this, but do I actually value this? And it's not just, is this convenient, but is this worth it? And that's the real question. Because convenience is basically selling you the idea that easier is always better. But easier is not always better if it quietly leaves you with less money, with less savings, with less flexibility, and with less breathing room. And that is the real trade-off. Convenience gives you comfort right now. But sometimes it takes options away down the road. And that's why I think this is worth talking about. Because most people don't need another person yelling at them to stop buying coffee. That's not the point. The point is to notice the pattern. Where is your money going because you chose it? And where's your money going because a company made it very easy for you to stop thinking? Those are the questions. And if you can answer that honestly, you may find money in your budget that you didn't even realize was there. So here's where I'll leave you. Convenience is not bad, but convenience should be a choice, not a reflex, not a habit you never question, not a subscription that you forgot about, not a delivery order you make just because you're tired. It's a choice. Because when you choose convenience on purpose, it can serve your life. But when convenience chooses for you, then it can quietly drain your money. And in today's economy, most people can't afford to be drained without noticing. So I want to hear from you. What convenience spending do you think adds up the fastest? Food delivery, subscriptions, Amazon, grocery delivery, convenience fees, something else? Drop it in the comments. I read every one. And if you want more conversations like this about affordability, money, spending, and what it really costs to live in America, hit like and subscribe, and please share with your friends. Keep learning, keep adapting, and keep asking yourself whether that convenience is actually helping or just making your life feel easier for 10 minutes. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.